Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of C&B. I am Siddharth Vinayak Parthankar, coming to you once again from California. More specifically, I am in Pasadena right now, just outside of Los Angeles. And with me is the brand new Jeep Grand Cherokee that's all set to make its India debut. So you get a first glimpse of the car, if you will, on the show today. And I think the thing that really grabs you, ample proportions, and a very premium looking face. The car does look the part of being Jeep's flagship for many years. So we'll have to wait and see, of course, when it comes into India, how it's priced, etc. But for now, take a look at a first glimpse at the car. So your exclusive first look at the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now another exclusive. This one is also an SUV, but it's really tiny. It's comparatively much smaller. It is a micro SUV where things really start these days for buyers. A lot of them like these cars as their first buys. I'm talking about the Hyundai Casper. It's a car that got a lot of attention globally, but currently only sells in Korea. I had a chance to drive it. Here is an exclusive review, after which you need to see if it makes sense for India or not. The Hyundai Casper is a small city runabout designed specifically for Korea's younger, upwardly mobile buyers. But it has received much love and acclaim the world over, and demand too. The Casper is not a hatchback, not really an SUV, but still gets the kind of attention that SUVs are now used to. It is the design that really appeals on this car. It's a very big departure from what Hyundai has done in the past, and it's very urban and yet absolutely on point with the kind of trend we see globally. The Casper is an urban car, and so while a compact footprint was important, it also needed to look very modern and stylish with a distinct character and identity. There's been a lot of glamour about it in India, especially since models like the Maruti Suzuki Espresso, but more so, the Tata Punch have really opened up a new segment. It has two engine types in the Korean market, both petrol, though the designers told me its platform can take on electrification or diesel solutions without a problem. This is derived from the same K1 platform that gives us the Hyundai Santro and even the Grand i10 Nios and Aura sedan. The more frugal variant of the Casper has the 998cc Smart Stream 3-cylinder engine that makes 76 horses, and it only has an automatic transmission. The Turbo is the more powerful offering with 100 horses and substantially more torque, but I begun my drive with the Smart Stream variant. So first experience driving the Casper, and yes, everybody who thinks that this could be the perfect car for our market is right in terms of the packaging and in terms of its drivability. The Casper is 3,595 millimeters long, making it shorter than the Grand i10 Nios, Santro, and of course the Tata Punch too. Its wheelbase is generous for a car of this overall size. It has a width of just 1,600 millimeters. Again, that's 80 millimeters narrower compared to the Grand i10 Nios. And the height, of course, is a lot more at 1575 mm. The Casper is for the Korean market, and there are demands all over the world ever since the pictures first broke for other markets who also want the car. The reason, I think, is because of how it looks. Now, the designers tell me that the whole intention here was to make a car that looked happy, that looks friendly, and that makes you smile. And you have to say that this design certainly does that. Very unconventional styling up front if you think about Hyundai's design, and yet it's very modern. It's very much in keeping with the new generation and what a lot of younger buyers would want. So indicators up top, very different use of DRL here, unlike the other cars again from the portfolio. Headlamp down there. This one is the turbo, so you've got the air intakes, which are also very playfully, very obviously put into that front grille. I like that. Now, it is an SUV look, and so you've got a very chunky, muscular, yet very compact design. So even though overall the length sits below 4 meters, the wheelbase is nice. It's 2400 millimeters, which is pretty ample considering the size of this car overall. Now, you've got a little bit of that cladding here, which gives you that SUV feel, a little notch, very chunky, sporty looking wheel design, the roof rails, and as you come around to the back, there's a nice little design element here. It's a little happy face, and that's supposed to be Casper, if you will, because again, as the design team says, it wants the car to be your friend. I mean, they really want it to be someone rather than something to you. At the back is, I think, where it has its most distinct visual identity. Very different use of tail light treatment. It's actually flush and integrated into the tailgate. And then you've also got these playful round elements to complement the front. So very, very different, very distinct character in terms of styling. Inside too, the Casper is nothing like the other Hyundai SUVs or compact hatches. Yes, the screen and its interface will be similar to those, but the layout and design of the overall cabin is very individual. The theme is young and sporty with a fun and vibrant feel. The cabin is surprisingly roomy, though the rear seats are best for 2 big adults or 3 teens at best. The car comes with many safety features, including ISOFIX and airbags, and even some ADAS on the higher trims. The instrument cluster is fully digital, and the touchscreen comes with connectivity and entertainment options that you'd expect, along with a very intuitive navigation system here in Korea.
100 meters, turn right toward Kintex. Be careful not to take the wrong road.
I like that. Since there are 2 iterations of the Casper in Korea, like I said, I'm glad I got to drive both engine types on the roads of Seoul and also out on the highway too. The Casper 1-liter Kappa TGDI is the turbo. It's quick, surprisingly agile, and the 2 variants are distinctly different in their feel. Both cars get the same 4-speed automatic transmission though. There's an obvious difference in character between the 2 cars. I'm glad I got a chance to drive both the SmartStream as well as the Kappa engine. The one with the turbo, no doubt, is more powerful. And it's more powerful not just in terms of the figures on paper. Sure, it's 76 versus 100 horses on this one, but you can tell that in the performance right away. This one is zippier, the response is a lot nicer, and the steering also feels nice and tight. That's the part that also will surprise you, because typically on small cars like this, the steering tends to feel really light and sort of disconnected. Not the case on the Casper. That's great, because many a times small cars like these feel very dull and have no character on the road. It was good to see a certain engagement between the driver and road that comes through on the Casper. Points to the engineering team for getting that right. Now, while the Casper is designed very intentionally for younger buyers, it's also very specifically for city dwellers. It's very urban. So the compact footprint, the ease of maneuverability, these were real high points in terms of its driving dynamics. And I have to say, the part that surprises me, given its small footprint, is its ride quality. The Casper gets 2 drive modes, normal and sport. And while the drive is a lot more responsive in sport, normal is not sluggish either. Surprisingly, there's no eco mode, which is something worth considering if it can make a huge difference to mileage numbers. There are traction modes like on the other Hyundai SUV models, snow, mud and sand, that vary torque to the wheels. There's no all-wheel drive version of the Casper on the cards, and EV, though, is very likely. The Casper is unlikely to come to us in this exact form since the Indian market has its own intricacies. But given the success of the Tata Punch, which is larger, Hyundai is eyeing the space very keenly. So, expect a Casper-like model to come in between the 6.5 and 8.5 lakh rupee price point. That could also get a slightly pricier electric version. This also means the second generation Hyundai Venue will become slightly larger and more premium when it arrives around 2024. That would then create a space for a model like the Casper to come in below it as the entry SUV for India. Do you agree? And would you buy such a car around 6.5 or 7 lakh rupees? Tell me by inboxing me at Sid Patankar on Twitter or on Instagram.
Now the Grand Cherokee is also all about luxury, and so which is why what you're seeing here is a really nicely done cabin. This has got quilted seating, it's got this little wood grain. So of course this depends on the trim and the variant, but the quality and the sense of luxury and occasion have kind of gone up with this new generation. So another quick glimpse at that for you, and let's take a look at our next story. This one is the Bobber, the Jawa 42 Bobber. Preetham spent some time with it, and here is the review.
Low slung, long and drop dead beautiful. The new 42 Bobber is the second factory custom Bobber from Jawa Motorcycles after the Perak. It's a more youthful sibling and comes with some changes in components, design and ergonomics. But if one thing it doesn't lack is its appeal.
Meet the all-new Jawa 42 Bobber. Just look at it, it looks absolutely stunning. And it's based on the Jawa Perak, which you've already seen. Looks quite similar because it's the same platform. But the 42 Bobber is a more youthful, more flamboyant and colorful take on the Jawa Perak factory custom Bobber. The 42 Bobber gets a few changes, of course, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But does it ride as good as it looks? That's what we intend to find out today. Ride the new 42 Bobber.
In fact, you could say the 42 Bobber is a sight better looking than the rather plain Jane Perak. The overall silhouette is the same, but look closer and there are some changes. The LED headlight is new, and so is the single pod digital instrument console, as well as the switchgear, which are borrowed from the SD Roadster. There are new colors, splashes of chrome on the engine, and gloss black finish on the fenders. The fuel tank is new with tank pads to grip with your knees, but the overall capacity has dropped compared to the Perak. What also has been changed are the ergonomics. The handlebar is wider and flatter than the Perak and has been moved slightly higher with risers. The foot pegs have been moved forward, so the rider's triangle has changed compared to the Perak. There's also a handlebar mounted USB charging socket to juice up your gadgets on the go. The seat is completely new with a new seat pan and design, and its position is adjustable to move back and forth. The tail light has been moved from the seat to the rear fender, and Jawa says this frees up space and visibility for an accessory luggage carrier. On the move, The 42 bobber is perky and will cruise comfortably at high speeds. The engine does rev, but if it's oral pleasure you're seeking, then you'd best look elsewhere. But straight line performance is good, and with its respectable power and torque output, grunt is something which you will have as long as you're in the right gear. The slip and assist clutch makes light work in traffic, and the 6-speed gearbox does require some work to keep the engine on the boil.
So the Jawa 42 bobber is based on the Jawa Perak, same engine, same chassis. It's got an over square engine, 332cc engine. So the bore is bigger than the stroke. So it's not like your typical Royal Enfield long stroke engine. It doesn't have a thump, but the upside is that it's a higher revving engine, so it feels quicker off the line. Throttle map is new, so it feels crisper. Throttle response is crisper. I saw a speedo indicated 132 km per hour top speeds, but you can cruise at 100 km per hour quite comfortably on the highway if you want to do that kind of riding.
Blasting down the highway at decent speeds is effortless, and you will appreciate its cruising speed despite the slightly gruff engine noise. And when you do hit the twisties, the 42 bobber remains planted. But while stability isn't an issue, the lack of cornering clearance somewhat robs you of fun and spirited riding.
Suspension has been retuned, the swing arm has been stiffened, so straight line stability is quite nice. Handling is also quite nice, but on the downside, the clearance of the foot pegs isn't much. So if you go on a twisty road, you will end up scraping the foot pegs, so that's a bit of a dampener. Otherwise, the handling is quite nice and stability is quite nice. The brakes work really well. I'm quite impressed by the brakes. Engine performance, crisp throttle response, yes, but the refinement of the engine could have been slightly better. But what is a bit of a downer is the suspension setup, the stiff ride quality. On a smooth road like this, you won't have any issues, but if you go over broken patches, over broken roads, then you will fill those bumps up. So that's a bit of a dampener, but overall looks great, rides pretty well, apart from that stiff ride quality. So no complaints, and the brakes work really well.
Performance is decent, although refinement, both in engine performance as well as build quality, could have been better. While there's no complaint on its dynamics, the slightly stiff ride quality and lack of foot peg clearance do have their limits. Despite its shortcomings, the Jawa 42 bobber's biggest strength is certainly its looks.
So if you want to make a style statement with your ride, look at the Jawa 42 bobber. It looks absolutely stunning, and if you want to turn heads on the street, there's nothing quite like it in that price bracket. Priced at just over 2 lakh rupees ex-showroom Delhi, it's affordable and it will definitely turn heads on the street once you get on to ride the Jawa 42 bobber. But it doesn't come with a pillion seat. So if you want to carry a pillion, if you want to have a friend or a wife or a girlfriend, then sadly there's no pillion seat. So that's a sacrifice that you have to make. And despite the looks, performance-wise it's quite nice, but the suspension, the ride quality is slightly on the stiffer side. So if you're going over smooth roads, no problem. But if you hit broken patches, potholes, then that stiff suspension does get to you. But at that price point, the 42 bobber definitely is a solid style statement that is difficult to ignore.
The engine could have been more refined, the ride quality better to make the 42 bobber more convincing. But then, there's nothing quite like it available at its price point. The 42 bobber is priced from 2,06,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi, going up to 2,09,000 rupees for the dual color variant at the same price as Perak. The single color options of the 42 bobber are in fact more affordable than the Jawa Perak. If it's an affordable bobber you are looking for, something to make a statement with your ride, the 42 bobber does offer something very different, something which may appeal to you. Go on then, take a test ride at least. You may end up adding it to your garage.
As always, there's lots that will come up on C&B. Please tell us how you liked the show today and anything you'd like to see. Reach me on Twitter or Instagram at Sid Patankar. On that note, goodbye. Please wear your seatbelts. Please wear your helmets and take care.